Hello and welcome to my channel, Clear Waters. Christianity is a religion based on evidence. These are the words from John Lennox on one of his presentations. Today I'm going to be reviewing a video from the channel Daily Dose of Wisdom. So, let's hear this evidence.
I literally beg you to listen to this video at least until the point where John Lennox gives his analogy about his wife and cooking, because it is one of the best analogies I've ever heard in explaining the difference between Christianity and every other religion. Let's go ahead and dive in.
In a society where we have access to many religions, how do we decide which one to follow?
Well, I only know one way of deciding which of anything to believe is on the basis of evidence.
Wow, the basis of evidence. I really want to hear this evidence.
You see, there's a confusion about faith. Many people have accepted Dawkins' definition of faith as believing where there's no evidence. That's nonsense. Faith is an ordinary word. It's not just a religious word. It's an ordinary word. It means trust. And usually, I suspect that all of you don't trust either facts or people without having evidence, or else you're a bit silly. And your bank manager won't trust you with a loan unless you provide evidence of collateral. Isn't that true? We all know what evidence-based faith is, but somehow the word has been...
I do not know, honestly, what evidence-based religion is. I don't.
Spread around by Dawkins and co. that faith is a vice because it's believing where there's no evidence. That's nonsense. That is blind faith, and it's very dangerous. It's the kind of faith that causes young men to fly planes into tall buildings.
All right. So let's go. Where's the evidence? Come on.
That's blind faith. Christianity is evidence-based. Listen to this.
Okay.
John,
There it goes.
at the end of his gospel, he says, Jesus did many other signs in the presence of his disciples, which are not written in this book. But these are written, that you might believe that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God, and that believing you may have life in his name. In other words, here's the evidence on which faith is based.
This is the evidence? Are you serious? Quoting the Bible is evidence for him? Is this real? No, this can't be true. Let's keep listening.
Now, how do you decide between religions? Well, there are several ways. Very briefly.
Really quick, before he gets into this, I think it's interesting that, because I'm putting myself in the mindset of the maybe more skeptical viewer of this video, and I know that there's going to be this complaint, well, that's John, who is in this book called the Bible, so he's biased and illegitimate for that reason. But it's interesting to note that John, when he wrote that, didn't even know that there was going to be this, canonized thing called the Bible that was going to be included with all of these other books and sort of put together in the way that it is today. He's just a real person who experienced real events in history and is proclaiming the reality of them.
In other words, no evidence and no evidence.
Those events to the original audience. And I just think that's interesting I think sometimes we can put the cart before the horse in terms of quickly discrediting a eyewitness to events in history. So
it's not that he's being discredited. It's that that is no evidence. I don't want to be rude. Probably you don't understand what evidence is. This is not evidence. Let's not fool ourselves, please.
that being said, let's let him continue.
Just think of the three major monotheistic religions. Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. When it comes to Christ, my Jewish friends, and I have many of them, believe that Christ died and did not rise. I, as a Christian, believe he died and rose. My Muslim friends believe he didn't die. Those three things cannot be simultaneously true. And therefore, I simply invite people to investigate the evidence. And one of the most seminal experiences in my life was sitting on the ground in the bright sunshine in Trinity College, Cambridge, listening to one of the world's top lawyers, actually an expert in Islamic law, but a Christian. And he was a Queen's Counsel, amongst many other things. Sir Norman Anderson, I think his book is still obtainable. And he got up and says, I want to do a forensic investigation of the evidence for the resurrection of Jesus. And the place was absolutely packed. And I'll never forget it, because that was the beginnings of understanding that there is a rational forensic defense of this. And we have to make up our own minds. But there's another method of approach, and it's this. You see, of every worldview and religion, I ask several questions. And when it comes to religions, I ask, what is the shape of the religion? How is relationship with God determined? So let's just confine ourselves for...
I don't know about you, but to me, this is kind of like preaching. He's talking about his beliefs, and he's talking in a way, he's, I don't know, very sophisticated and wise man, kind of lish. But it sounds like preaching, no evidence, not really.
For sake of illustration, to God-fearing religions, not religions that don't really believe in God and so on.
I think when you have evidence about something, to just present it. You know, just show it, present the evidence. But if you're gonna go around with stories and talking about, I don't know, quoting the Bible and telling stories about anything, sir, John Lennox, with all the respect, this is no evidence, sir. And it gets me a little bit upset because I was excited. I wanted to hear the evidence. Shoot, let's hear a little bit more. See if it presents the evidence.
But God-fearing religions, like the three I've mentioned. And what I discover by constant questioning of people is that there's a general pattern, that there's some sort of initiation rite, perhaps performed on a child, perhaps performed on an adult, and the person is on the way. And the descriptor, the way, is often used, and I often draw this, and I draw a little door, you get in, and a wavy line. This is the way it goes up and down.
If you notice something, the lady on his left side, she's getting kind of impatient. And look at the other guy's face. He's kind of like, yeah, okay, get to the point.
Down. And then there's a gate, another big door at the far end, and I draw the scales of justice there. And at the other side of that gate is nirvana, heaven, what have you, paradise. And I say, as you're on the way, you various people that teach you and help you and so on, but even they cannot guarantee your acceptance into heaven or whatever at the end. Why? Because you have to go through the final assessment, a judgment. And why is that? Because the principle of the religion is merit. And so you have to hope that with all the teaching you've got and all the experience, that your good deeds will outweigh your bad deeds and you'll be accepted. And I find that by and large, most people say that's exactly what we believe. And I say, it's exactly not what I believe. And they say, of course you do, you're a Christian. You believe, as well as I do, that good works are important. Yes, I say, I believe they're important, but they're not the basis of acceptance. And I say, but how can that possibly be? Well, I say, you think of that wavy line, and you're on that wavy line, and you cannot, by definition, be sure of acceptance. It's like Birmingham University. You get in, you do.
You know, I think in a certain way, I think he's trying to lower the requirements for evidence. I don't know if you try to understand with everything he's saying. It's very confusing, but what I understand that he's trying to do is lower that line of requirement for evidence. This is getting very, very long and very boring.
Your A levels, wonderful, you're in, and then there are nice professors like me teaching you, but I can't guarantee you get a degree. Why? Because you have to get through finals. That's the day of judgment, folks, isn't it? And many of you remember it. And that is what the vast majority of people think a religion is. And then I drop a little bomb into their minds.
Bomb.
And I say, but that isn't Christianity, folks.
Okay, what is it?
In religion, acceptance comes at the end on the basis of an assessment of merit.
Oh, so is that the evidence? A little bit boring.
Well, if that's religion, Christianity is not a religion. It's a relationship. And acceptance comes at the beginning.
Sir, even if it's at the beginning or the end, this is no evidence, sir. It gets me upset. Again, I was really excited to hear some kind of evidence. Just stories and preaching, basically.
That's radical.
And some kind of reality bending, definition bending.
And you know, I believe in our country and in my original country, many people have rejected Christianity. Why? Because they've never understood this. They don't realize that Christianity is not a merit-based religion. Because Christ came into our world and he told us that if we listened to him and accepted his word and believed on him as the Savior, the Son of God, we would have in that moment eternal life and we would not come into judgment. That's utterly radical. So the acceptance comes at the beginning. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I don't give lectures like this and discussions like this to earn God's forgiveness. I do them because I got it. That's radical. And you all understand that. Let me ram this in with a little illustration. Can I do that? Only take a minute.
Go on then. And then.
Wait, this is it then?
Yeah.
This is it. You know, if someone was presenting some kind of evidence, you know, for God or because of religion, man, you're pretty much being cut off by the host. Shut it down. We're bored. This is too long. I think that's a little bit of an indication that what you're saying, probably there's nothing there.
You've heard about my wife.
Cut him off.
Well,
Cut him off.
over 50 years ago, I saw this vision in Cambridge. So I decided I'd like to marry her. So I came to her one day and I had a little present wrapped up for her. It was a cookbook. So I said, I'd like to marry you, Sally. Now the condition would be this. Let's look at page 147. It's apple cake. And here are the laws for making apple cake. Thou shalt take so much flour, thou shalt take so much sugar, and there you are. Now, here's the way it's going to be. If you keep these laws for the next 40 years, I'll think about accepting you. If you don't, you can go back to your mother. But look, Why are you laughing?
I get a headache.
That is what many of you sitting here think about God. And you would never insult a fellow human being by basing a relationship on merit. You wouldn't. And so my marriage, it's been good. Why?
Okay.
Because my wife is not cooking in order to gain my acceptance. She likes cooking because she's got it.
Sir, this is your definition about the way you want to live life. This is your point of view on things. There's nothing there, sir. You promised at the beginning, some evidence for Christianity, and you presented nothing but preaching.
And the wonderful thing about Christianity is precisely that. It's not religion in that sense. It's a relationship.
It's that sense of acknowledgement of our need for God, of our own moral depravity, of the fact that we are not holy in and of ourselves.
Oh, more religious mambo jumbo. I'm gonna continue trying to find, I really want for God to exist. I don't want to be alone in this universe. I want something, but I'm not willing to sacrifice my honesty, my sincerity, and none of this stuff for me is, I don't know, this is like being romantic with God, the love of God, and there's nothing in this. I thought we were going to hear some kind of evidence, but anyways, I don't take any more of your time. I'm gonna find another video and review it. So have a great day.